Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a case of high-stakes criminal engineering. We're talking about Elias Ward.
Yeah, this is a fascinating one. Ward was the architect behind one of the most, truly sophisticated credit theft networks ever uncovered.
And we're going to be pulling apart the FBI files, the audit reports, all of it to really get at this paradox. How does a guy who perfected digital security, OPSEC, get taken down by something so human?
That's the whole story right there.
It all kicks off in this small town, Fairbrook. It's a normal Thursday morning, and then suddenly, sirens.
Hey.
Elias Ward, who is in Block C waiting for federal transport, had just vanished.
And you have to understand, Ward wasn't, some common criminal. He wasn't robbing banks. His entire empire was data.
Right.
Stolen identities, offshore accounts, all of it hidden behind this incredibly dense web of encrypted transactions. It was built to be invisible.
What's so wild to me is how they even caught him the first time. The reports say it wasn't some brilliant detective work, it was a glitch.
A technical hiccup, yeah. A malfunctioning VPN.
Just for a second, it exposed a server, and boom, they could trace a transfer. He was caught by one tiny point of failure.
And that failure is, I think, the key to this whole story. It taught him a lesson. He realized that even the best digital fortress can have a crack in it.
So first arrest wasn't the end of the game for him.
Not at all. It was just a temporary setback. He knew if his digital life could fail, his backup plan, his escape plan, had to be completely analog.
And that's our mission today. To unpack the incredible OPSEC he planned from inside a prison cell and figure out why all that logic, all that planning, just wasn't enough in the end.
Right, let's start with phase one.
Yeah.
How he treated a maximum security prison like just another system to hack.
So Ward is in Block C, and he's not just doing time, he's studying. He's running a years-long operational analysis of the entire facility.
Exactly. We always think of OPSEC as, your digital footprint. But this was physical OPSEC.
He's looking for patterns.
Patterns in the monotony, yeah. He's not looking for a weak wall to break through. He's looking for systemic vulnerabilities. The little cracks that appear when people do the same thing every single day.
And the source material says he watched every detail, not just the cameras.
No, the guard rotations, the blind spots during a shift change, even the weekly maintenance schedules. It's all incredibly meticulous.
It sounds so boring.
It is boring.
Yeah.
And that's the genius of it. The guards, the staff, they're all on autopilot. Routine creates predictability. And Ward was just waiting for the one moment when that predictability would break.
The perfect storm, and he got it.
He did. It was this confluence of three small, totally unrelated things all happening on one night.
Okay, so first, there's a literal storm. It knocks out the east security camera,
Creating a real blind spot.
Yeah.
Then there's a rookie officer.
doubling a shift. So he's tired, more likely to make a mistake.
Right, and then the third piece, the real trigger, was the janitor.
The janitor.
Ward had been tracking his routine for months. He knew that the supply door in the maintenance wing was sometimes left unlocked. Not for long, maybe less than a minute, just long enough to grab a cart.
That's the window.
That was his window. The camera's out, the rookie's tired, and the door is open. He just slips through.
And the escape itself was incredibly simple. He gets through the maintenance wing, puts on a worker's raincoat he must have stashed, and just walks out into the storm.
And that's the key takeaway here. The escape wasn't high-tech. It was about systems analysis. He exploited human fatigue. He exploited routine. For him, prison was just a staging ground for phase two.
Phase 2, the manhunt. And the FBI brings in their best, Agent Mara Keene. Her reputation, according to the files, was all about methodical patience. She wasn't going to be rushed.
And Ward would have counted on that. He knew they'd be looking for digital breadcrumbs, so he had to make sure there were absolutely none to find.
And Keene's initial report confirms it. Elias left, quote, not a message, not a pattern, not a single digital trace.
Which is just mind-boggling. His preparation for this was next level. He learned from that VPN mistake.
Okay, so let's break that down. This isn't just about using a burner phone. This is pre-engineering your own disappearance.
It's total compartmentalization. The alias he used to rent his hideout, it had zero connection to the alias he used for his offshore accounts. They were completely siloed.
So if they found one, it wouldn't lead to the other. It's like having 3 different people living on 3 different power grids.
That's a great way to put it. And the money for his escape, that was all analog. Cash that had been pulled out of circulation years ago, laundered through tiny forgotten transactions. Untraceable.
Which brings us to his actual escape kit. The details are amazing. Stashes of physical cash buried somewhere.
Right, not in a bank. A forged passport under a forgotten alias. Probably an identity he'd stolen and cultivated for years.
And the hideout itself, a cabin deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
And crucially, it wasn't rented by him. It was leased years ago through a shell company. A shell company designed to look like a tiny real estate firm or something.
Yeah.
Legally, he had no connection to that place.
It's overwhelming. He planned for every logical move the FBI would make. Bank transfers, phone pings, online activity, and he just stepped outside of all of it.
He built a fortress of foresight. But all of that planning, the prison analysis, the digital walls, the analog cache, it all requires this intense logical focus.
Pure logic.
Pure logic. And that raises the big question. What happens when a mind like that runs up against an emotional need?
And that's the pivot, isn't it? That's where Agent Keene comes in. Ward was a genius, but he was still human.
Exactly. Keene realized chasing the digital ghost was a dead end. She had to find the one thing he did that didn't make logical sense.
So she changed tactics.
She went old school, started digging through dusty, ancient financial records from his network. From before he was this huge, anonymous entity, she was looking for an old pattern.
And she finds this curious inconsistency. It's not a big transaction, it's a small, old expense.
Yeah, tied to a place that should have been completely irrelevant. A small hardware store that had been closed for years.
A hardware store? I mean, on paper, that makes zero sense. Why would a global cyber criminal care about a derelict hardware store?
It wasn't about money. It wasn't part of his sophisticated network. It was just there in the old records.
But he had the cabin, the cache, the perfect hideout. Why go back to some old store?
And that's where Keene's intuition just completely bypassed Ward's logic. She realized the motivation wasn't about his next move. It was about his past.
Familiarity, safe ground.
Exactly. That hardware store was probably a key spot for him in his early days. A safe place. A place where he first felt powerful, in control.
So he built this perfect, secure future, but his subconscious, it just needed to touch base with a secure past. He needed to reset before starting his new life.
And that one emotional need, that need for psychological grounding, it just betrayed all of his physical security. The reports say Keene went in alone, quietly.
She didn't want to spook him.
Right. And she finds him inside. He's packing some equipment, but he's also burning documents.
He was cleaning up, preparing for that final phase of his escape before heading to the cabin for good.
The final purge. And then he hears it. Just a faint creak from the back door. He freezes. And in that one moment, he knows.
He knows over.
All the planning, all the firewalls and redundancies, it was all for nothing. He planned for satellites and algorithms, but he didn't plan for one agent to understand his human weakness.
For the first time since escaping, Elias miscalculated. It's the perfect ending, in a way. Logic versus intuition.
His mind took him so far, but his heart, you could say, brought him right back to the beginning.
So when you pull it all apart, what's the big takeaway? The contrast is just so stark. This is a man who engineered a brilliant escape by exploiting human error and technical glitches.
Built layer after layer of OPSEC, yeah. And yet his downfall came from a purely psychological need. This sentimental trip back to a place that felt safe.
It's a pretty powerful lesson in security, really. The weakest link is almost never the tech. It's the person running the system, or in this case, the person running from the system.
And so Ward was led back into custody. The sun's coming up over Fairbrook. It's calm, it's silent, the chase is over.
Baby, the source material has one last twist. It doesn't give us that neat ending. Despite being recaptured, the files say Ward was, quote, already thinking.
Yeah, the investigators noted he had this one unshakable belief. The game wasn't over. Not yet.
And that's the final chilling thought. If his aliases are blown, his money is gone, and he's back in a cell, what could he possibly have left? What resource does he possess that makes him think he still has an advantage?
What does that next game even look like? Is there some part of his encrypted web that Keene never even found? A contingency plan for after recapture?
We'll leave you with that question. Thanks for diving in with us.